Good morning and welcome to our live crafting session this morning. It is Wednesday, the 30th of March. Thank you so much for joining me. If you joined me yesterday, you will have seen me create this card here using the new Waves of Inspiration stamp set, which is this one. Just going to pop that there, hopefully not reflecting too much. Today I'm going to continue using this set, but just step up excuse me, the waves and add a little bit more interest to make them look more realistic. So we're going to be adding some clear embossing, and we're also going to be adding some shimmery crystal effects. Before I do that though, I want to share a special card with you. So good morning and welcome. Hi Catherine, my name's Jenny McCormack and I'm a Stampin' Up demonstrator, and I'm based in Brackley here in the UK, and I've been a Stampin' Up demonstrator for, let me see, 12 years this year. I had to think about that. I want to start our session today sharing this special card with you. This, I'm very lucky in that making handmade cards as part of my business does mean that I receive a lot of handmade cards. Within our team, we also have a swap group where we swap cards on a regular basis, and we have a birthday club where we send out excuse me, birthday cards on a regular basis, and we also send out just because cards when it's not necessarily your birthday. It's always really nice to receive a card. Morning Brenda. However, I received this one yesterday, and this is not from somebody in my team. This is from a very special lady. This is from Lisa Carter. Lisa is the daughter of one of my team members, Tracy. Tracy's very often on here. And Lisa, her daughter, has Down syndrome. And I was absolutely blown away when I received this card in the post, because this is actually from Lisa. And she's created the card, she's done the stamping and the colouring of the daffodil, and I understand the only thing Tracy helped her with was placing the designer series paper straight onto the card. So this is from Lisa, and she's written me a lovely message inside. It says, to Jenny, just a quick hello, hope you're keeping well, best wishes, Lisa. And she's even stamped the little daffodil inside. Now this really warms my heart to receive a card from Lisa. I've met her on a number of occasions. She does come to our team meetings. She loves coming there. She's such good fun to join in. So I just want to say a hearty thank you to Lisa. I have thanked her in person on our Zoom meetings, but I just wanted to share this card with you. Just to show you that card making can be for anyone and everyone. Okay, I'm hoping Lisa will see that in due course. So we are carrying on with our Waves of Inspiration. This is the stamp set we used yesterday, and this was the card that we created. And this consists of the stamp set, and I've also used the coordinating papers, and the papers are available while stocks last, and they are stunning papers, and I showed them yesterday, so I won't show them again today unless anybody particularly needs to see them that didn't see them yesterday. I'm just popping this up on my phone so I can see if there's anybody else there, because I know my... Oh, bless you Tracy, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you. And good morning. Excuse me, sorry, I've got this awful cough. I'm still testing negative for COVID. but my son Will is positive for COVID, so he's been banished to his bedroom. Bless him. So we're carrying on with this, and I want to show you a couple of ways you can make these waves look more realistic, adding a little bit more detail to them. So the first one I'm going to do is using Clear Embossing Powder on the stamp after stamping it in Versamark, to make the elements of where the ink is nice and glossy. I haven't tried this yet, so I'm hoping it's going to work. Let us see. I'm just going to move this out. So I have my card here, and I'm just going to put it up next to that edge here. And I'm actually going to put the stamp here in the middle, and I'm going to cut this down, so I'm going to position my stamp actually on the sort of inside of the paper. I just want to make sure it's not too close to there, but I think we'll be okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp this first in Pacific Point. That's what I used yesterday. And then I'm going to stamp it in Versamark and then add Clear Embossing Powder and heat set it. Good evening, Kerry. I hope you're well. So just positioning that on there. Let's move, I'll pop that underneath there actually, will do nicely. So these are the dies I was talking about yesterday, and we'll be seeing those tomorrow. So I'll be cutting out these layers with the dies and also the clouds and the tags. So I'm just going to stamp this first of all, as I say, in Pacific Point. But these waves could be any combination of colours. They could be Bermuda Bay, they could be Coastal Cabana. You could do a complete mix by using blending brushes. You could use daubers to ink up different colours. There's lots of different ways of using this. So I hope everybody is well, and I hope I managed to get through this without too much coughing, and I do apologise otherwise. But you know what it's like when you try to stop coughing, it makes it worse, doesn't it? Okay, so there's my main bit of the wave. I just need to do that little corner which is a bit close to that hinge here. That's perfect. Okay, so what I'm now going to do is take my Versamark ink. So I'm going to wipe this down. Let me just grab a clean cloth. They're all in the sink soaking. Sorry about that. And the only reason I'm cleaning this is because I don't really want too much blue ink on my Versamark ink pad. So just cleaning that off. Just want to make sure it's relatively dry. Okay, so now I'm going to take my Versamark ink pad, leaving it in the same position, and I'm going to ink this up. Now I might do a couple of layers because this Versamark ink pad is very well used. I think I might treat myself to a new Versamark ink pad soon. I have refilled these and they do get well used. So I'm just going to do that again. Like so. Inking that up a second time. Hello, Cassie. Up and down. Now, because I haven't handled this, I haven't used an embossing buddy, and also because the ink is only on there and it's clear, I think we'll be okay. So here's my clear embossing powder, which looks remarkably like it needs a new pot adding. Okay, let's take this out. So this will stay tacky for a little while. Just going to pop that out of the way, and then use what's left of my clear embossing powder over the top. I haven't done heat embossing in what seems forever. Okay, let's pop the lid on there so you can see it's gone quite dull, and that's where the embossing powder is sitting on the ink. And I can see here where I haven't pressed the Versamark in, so it's slightly lighter. Okay, I'm just going to grab my heat gun. I'm just going to let this warm up for a second. It's much better if you start with it warm. Okay, and our heat tool has two settings, so you want it on the higher of the two settings. And I'm just going to bring this in, and you'll see this change. I just do that half, hopefully you can see. It's gone shiny. So you just want to move the heat tool over your image to melt the powder. Like so. There we are. Okay, now I'm hoping you'll be able to see the subtlety of this. So, yes, hopefully you can just see that. So it's now glossy over the areas where there is the ink, but where there's no ink, obviously in the patches and where it's very, very light, it isn't. So it gives a really nice effect. Now this is not an original idea. I saw another demonstrator had done it. I'm pretty sure I saved an image of her name, so I'll dig that one out for you and post that in the comments. So there is my glossy C. Now I can cut this down and add any other elements to it. I can also use my blending brush to add in a little bit of detail for the sky, and I might well add in this pelican here. So I can either stamp him directly onto here, or I can stamp and then fussy cut or use the dies to cut him out. I'm just going to have a go at stamping directly. Let's pop the, let me find the label. It's much easier with the label. She says, here it is. Okay. So just putting that on carefully. Okay, so there's the pelican. It's got some built-in shading already. So I'm just going to stamp this to see how it stamps. Let's grab this piece here, and I just want to stamp it on this corner, see what it looks like. Let's go for early espresso. But you could use grey. You could also use your pens to colour these separately, these elements. So I just want to get a feel for there we go. It's a really nice image, like so. You can see that. So am I going to risk doing it straight on? What do we reckon? Let's have a little try. If I take this panel here, so it's always worth, I'm just going to practice this. So I'm just going to draw a line just to mimic where my line of C is, and then see how accurately I can get that on there. Okay, so I'm looking through and I want that the higher piece of wood to be on the line. Can you see like that? Because obviously I don't want this piece up in the open air, so I'm happy with that. And I was just using the sticker on the back. That's very true, Catherine. I can always stamp and cut it out, and I've also got the dies, but let's just go for it. Okay, hopefully I've got it straight. There we go, not quite straight, but I think it will do nicely. I can do a little bit of colouring here if I want to, just to make it a little bit more interesting. So I've got, though I've stamped it in espresso, I've got some crumb cake here, so dark and light. And I'll also colour in a little bit more of the pelican. So this is dark, so I'm going to use the dark area here as provided on the stamp. And here, like so, and then a little bit here. That. And then I'm just going to use the light one to blend that in. So I'm just using that circular motion on here. Now, if you've got any other stamps that are related to the water, so lighthouse, sail away with the boats, there's got the 2 yachts on there. You could add some scenery. Although the danger of that is it might look a little bit like a tsunami arriving. So this is just using the blends pens. I've got crumb cake light, crumb cake dark. Okay, like so. So most of the work has been done by the stamp, and I'm just adding to that as much as anything. And then here's our pelican. I'm just going to put, maybe, I don't know, should have done a bit of work to work out what colours pelicans are. But I think they're sort of, well, I think they can probably be lots of colours, can't they? So I've got a little bit of smoky slate here. Light, Actually, what I'm going to do is do it over and then add the colour lifter. Just to lift a little bit of that colour out in the middle. I'm just going to use a tiny little bit of, I'm going to try dark pale papaya rather than pumpkin pie. For the beak and the feet. Okay. Okay. So there's my shiny wave and my pelican on his post or her post. Just going to bring in a little bit of sky using our blue blending brush. Just pop this on here. It's got a little bit of blue on here already. This is what we were using yesterday in our class. We had great fun at class. Some lovely designs. Okay, now I'm going to cut this down, remember. So just adding that little bit of detail. Like so. Not sure how much of that sky you can see. A little bit. It's amazing how it looks quite deep, not quite deep to me, but it's quite noticeable for me. But I think when you're looking at it, that's maybe a little bit better. You can see that better. And you can go over this, obviously, because there are areas where there's no ink in the stamp. So you can add to that. And if you wanted a sort of bluey green or a change of colour, you could certainly do that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is going to cut this down before I add the birds and a sentiment. So I could have a border all the way around if I'd left a little bit more white, but I'm just going to cut this down so it's just on that bottom line. What I could have done is masked it off with some tape. Let's see, let's make this 9. I want to make sure I've got enough room above my pelican. There he is. And let's make that just 13. So this is 9 centimeters by 13, which I suspect, yeah, just a little bit bigger than I used yesterday, and I've got a little bit of the white here showing, so I'm just going to make this slightly smaller. There we go. So I hope everybody is keeping well and you're having a good week. So it's Wednesday already, so we have today and tomorrow left of the 20% off offer for the bundles and the mini stamping cut and emboss machine, which are these here. So I'll show you these right at the end for those that are interested. So 20% off the small machine, and then 20% off all of these bundles here. So I'll show you those. Some of those are retiring. Okay, so let's pop the birds on. And I'm going to leave it actually. I was tempted to put that sentiment on again, but I think now I've got the pelican on, I don't want it overshadowed. So I've got, let's use early espresso for these birds. It's good to stamp these off. Make sure that I've got enough ink on my ink pad. And let's have them up here. Near the wave. So just very gently place. Oh, look at that. Just caught the edge. I'm hoping you can't see that, but I know I can. Just the very edge of that. Okay, I think I'll get away with it. Okay, so now we're going to layer that up. Let's see if I might change the layers. So yesterday I used this one here. Oh my goodness, Carrie, 52 people, card kits. That's a serious amount of prepping and cutting. Okay, so I've got this one here, or Misty Moonlight makes it look a little bit dull actually, so I'm going to stick with that one. So let's pop this onto a layer here. Now because it's been heat embossed, I'm going to make sure that I've a little bit more accurate with my glue. And that one's been stood the wrong way all night. So let's just use our seal. So, and because it's been heat embossed and we've heated it with the heat gun, it can make this card curl slightly. So just making sure I'm putting more tape all the way over. I'm just going to pop it onto here, just lining up the left and the top side, and then I'm going to cut it down. Well, so I'm hoping you can see that the glossiness of that sort of really brings it to life. I mean, that is beautiful in its own right, but with the gloss and also the background colouring, it makes it look much more lifelike. Okay, and then I'm going to show you another way to create the gloss with a product that's soon to be retiring. So if you haven't used it, now would be the time to order it and try it. So I want to take a little bit more of that off, literally a millimetre. That's what I love about these trimmers, is they're so accurate. Okay, so this can go onto a base card. Oh good, I'm glad you can see the reflection. Yes, it's really lifted, but I think also adding the sky and the pelican so there's a little bit more detail makes a difference. But it's one of those things that's, you know, obviously more obvious in person. Okay, just going to create my card blank. So 14.85. Excuse me, scored at 10.5. And let's have a look and see if I need to put a backing paper on. I'm not sure I do, because this is slightly bigger. So I think I'm going to leave it exactly like that and just layer it up. Like so. Come on. There we go, so we've got a border. And if you watch me create this one yesterday, I added that wave on the inside just by stamping it off and to the left so that it didn't stop abruptly as it does on here. Okay, so there is my finished card. So that is stamping in Pacific Point using the Stamparatus, and this is quite a big stamp, so I found the Stamparatus the best thing to use, and then cleaning the stamp, inking up with Versamark, stamping it, and I stamped it a couple of times because I know my Versamark is very light of ink, and stamping it and then adding clear embossing powder onto the top and heat setting, and then using a blending brush after I'd stamped these elements. This one here was stamped with Early Espresso, and I use crumb cake markers. Makes it quite realistic actually, with that wood. So that's one method, and I want to show you another really quick method of making something glossy without using heat embossing. And you can use this for just spot elements on your card or your papers. So for example, if you've got some designer series paper, let's just grab this piece here. So these are my peaches, and you'll want your peaches to look more glossy, and even with a little bit of sparkle. We have this product called Shimmery Crystal Effects. And Crystal Effects we used to have, which was just a clear gloss that you could apply. You had to let it dry, and it is just like applying a gloss finish. So what you can do, it just comes in this form, but as I say, it is retiring, and it has a sort of what do you call it, a nozzle at the top, so you just squeeze the bottle until the crystal effects come out. And this has got glitter added into it. So if you've used our crystal effects previously, that was glossy, but this has got some glitter in it as well. This one's been open for a little while, so you can just literally apply this gloss, and it's not too wet. Obviously you do need to let it dry, and if you can, oh, you probably can't see that. Trying to catch the light, it's very difficult. Maybe there, maybe you can just see it there. Okay, so it's this one here that I've added the detail to. So what you can do is, let's take the one I did yesterday, and if you prefer, I guess you could squeeze onto a block and sort of paint it on. You could also use, just for a bit of, if you want to just glimmer, you could use Wink of Stella, but this will make it glossy as well. So I'm just going to squeeze this on here, and I'm trying to do it deliberately so you can see it. There's the it's so clear you can't even see it, can you? I can see it really clearly. Okay, so all I'm doing is applying that wherever I want it on my waves. So you do need to let this dry, and it depends on how much you add as to how long you need to let it dry, but I'm hoping, there we go, you can see that gloss, and as it dries it leaves the glitter on there and the gloss as well. So let me just add some here. As I say, you can sort of paint with it. You could use an aqua painter or something. Just make sure you clean the top afterwards. Now it will pick up a little bit of the ink colour if you're using a dark colour ink, so just be aware of that. But in this area I'm not worried at all. So this is called Shimmery Crystal Effects. So you get the gloss, and it's also slightly 3D, so I'm hoping, there we go, like so. So it's glittery and glossy, whereas this one is just glossy. I'll try and take some photographs because I appreciate that you can't see much of that detail in there. But there we go. So Shimmery Crystal Effects. It is retiring, and you can make it quite chunky as well. So if you wanted it on scenery, mountains and things like that, you can make it quite chunky and effective. Okay, so that is Shimmery Crystal Effects. It comes like this, lasts a long time. I've only ever bought one and it's still going, but it is getting down towards the bottom, which is why I'm having to squeeze it a bit more than normal. So if you want a quick and easy way of adding gloss and a little bit of shimmer, so there's little tiny bits of glitter in there, then Shimmery Crystal Effects could be your best friend. And just want to find you the number for it. And see if it's discounted. So just make sure you allow that time to dry. Oh, it's amazing what you find in your catalogue, isn't it? Just going to look it up in the accessories, page 128. Shimmery Crystal Effects. Okay, so it's now £3.80, and it says add subtle sparkle to your project with white and silver glitter flecks in this glossy lacquer. Small thin tip makes it easy to outline or add detail. It's acid free. It was £4.75 and it's now £3.80. So if anybody wants that, I will be ordering again, and you can add it to an order. Okay, so that's it. Hi Zana, nice to have you join us. And let me just make sure I haven't missed any comments. Oh, Catherine can see it shining good. Thank you so much. Brilliant. I think that is it. So this is the one we created today using Clear Embossing Powder and Versamark, and I added this in and coloured it in with blends. And then this was the one I created yesterday, but I've just gone over it with Shimmery Crystal Effects just to give it a little bit of interest, and so that's made it glittery and shiny, glossy. Whoops. Okay, so thank you so much for joining me. I will be back tomorrow So that is Thursday at 7 p.m. and we will be using the dies for this set. So this is the wave dies that go with this. So I hope you're able to join me for that. Do hope you enjoy the rest of your day, morning, afternoon, depending on when you're watching us. And do take care, look after yourselves. All being well, I shall be back here tomorrow. This video will be uploaded to YouTube. So if you have been watching on replay or YouTube, then I appreciate your company. If you have any questions or queries, then don't hesitate to pop a comment in the comments box and I will get back to you. So thank you so much. I will photograph those and try and show you that in a bit more detail. Thanks everybody. Take care now. Bye for now.